are totally ready. They're so ready. Hi, everybody. Can you guys see us? Can you hear us? Yay! Welcome to Wisdom Circle, everybody. I am so happy to see you. I'm like, of course they're ready. They've been ready for, how long has it been since we've seen each other? At Wisdom Circle? We see each other all the time for other stuff, but I'm so happy to see you. And Tara's back. The whole group's here. We have some new friends. I was watching the feed a little bit and watching, you know, that some of you are new. I think I saw Tracy's new. So I'm kind of excited about that too, because whether you've been here forever or whether you are like, who the hell is that lady? You're in the right place at the right time. We have a lot to talk about. Aloha, you guys. So good to be here. It's the first day of harvest. Today's a big day. Today was a big day for our ancestors because they harvested the corn and the wheat today, which are the first solid harvests. And so, because that's kind of a gimme harvest, it usually was a pretty good sign of whether the rest of their harvests were going to be good or not. And so I'm thrilled to have you here. So we have a lot of places we can go today, you guys. And so I want to share some of your questions with you. Most of your questions, by the way, and I should say, welcome to Wisdom Circle. So Wisdom Circle is our twice a month hangout, kind of no rules, no agenda. We're meeting again at 6 p.m. tonight for Lammas ritual. So that has an agenda, that has a ritual, that has a whole history to it. But this is kind of our little hangout space, and I'm an open book, so you can ask me anything, and I kind of go with that flow. You like my shirt? Isn't it cute? I found it on Etsy, and I fell in love with it. I love the mother, so this spoke to me a lot. Oh, it's wonderful. Fantastic. Well, welcome, Lori. I'm so happy to see you guys. Okay, so here's some of the questions on your mind. You want to know about spirit guides, and you're interested in, it says, are galactic guides and spirit guides the same? How can you connect with spirit guides more deeply? How do you fix karma from past lives? You know, just a little light conversation for your Wednesday afternoon. And then Lammas questions were about how do we use the energy of Lammas to help everyone prosper? Does today start the 8th day process in numerology for August? Is there any significance in the next 8 days? And how can you keep your momentum up when you're setting intentions? So we have all kinds of places that we can go. I'm going to smudge a little bit heavier than usual today because it is a high holiday, which means that today is a holiday celebrated by many people around the world. There's a lot of energy flowing, so I've smudged 4 times already today, but why not one more? Oh, I'm thrilled to see you guys. I really, really am. We miss you. Then we miss each other, right, when we don't see each other. That's why I love this space. And hopefully you guys love this space too. I really created it for you without any structure because I didn't want structure. I kind of hate rules, and so the more times in my life I can be ruleless, the happier I tend to be. And what I have found is the conversations that arise in Wisdom Circle, because of that kind of deep flowing, open, you know, accessible energy that we create, is the conversations are pretty deep and they're pretty authentic because there's no rules. So I'm open, I'm down. I'll always go wherever you want to go with pleasure. I'm sort of that way. Oof. Yeah, Star says that Sage needs to get a cold out of Dodge for her, so I'm going to set that intention for perfect health for you today. No, you cannot smudge too much. You can smudge too little, however, and end up with a situation. What my daughter, when she was little, would call a situation. You can end up with a situation if you don't smudge enough. So I would say you can't over smudge, but you can under smudge. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Okay, so I want to kick you off with a thought. Since it is Lammas Day, I want you to consider, no situations, right? I agree with you. I want you to consider the very real possibility that all the work you put in this year, all the energy you put into your relationships, all of the, you know, new things you've created or the new projects that you've birthed or the whatever it is that you have put your energy into, I want you to consider today that you have been successful. that everything in your life has been leading you right here, and that you're in fact right where you need to be in this moment, and that everything you've done up until this point has been successful. I say that because I think so many times, so many of us, especially because we're empaths and our world is in pain, I think a lot of us right now are walking around not feeling good about ourselves. Like we could be doing more, or we should have done more, or it's not enough, or there's so much need, and it's like a well, and no matter how much you do, you can just not get to the bottom of it, right? But I'm serious, you guys. Like, can you hold space for that? That you are enough? That everything that you've done this year is enough? I want you to breathe into that for just a minute, especially if you don't believe it. Because I know, right? I know, Cynthia Dietz, I always feel like I don't do enough, right? Didn't do enough. It's the eternal, as I can say as a mother, I never feel like I do enough. At the end of the day, when I get in bed and I'm so exhausted, I always think, I could have done more, right? So just for today, like I want to pick you up and I want to lift you up, because the rest of the world will tear you down. I don't have to do that. There's a long line of people waiting outside your door and my door and everybody else's door to tell you that you're not good enough, or maybe you should try harder, or whatever. But I would really like to be the one today to tell you that I'm really proud of you. You've done really well. In fact, you've done enough. And you've done so much that the whole world is blessed because you're on this planet. And I don't know what part of what you've done this year is enough, but something in it could be something that would surprise you, where you don't even realize that you did something so profound, and yet you did, right? It could be the conversation that you had with that one person that didn't seem important to you, but like absolutely changed their life, you know? So I want to begin there because I want to raise the vibration, and then wherever we go from this place, from this high vibe, kind of like tuning in, checking in, fully loving and accepting ourselves in this moment, knowing, because this is what I know of you, okay? And I'm telling you this, a lot of you, some of you are new, but a lot of you are not. And by the way, if you're new, you won't be new for long. This is the only community, the Sage Goddess communities are the only ones I know of online where you're new for about 10 minutes, and then after that, it's like we've known you forever, and like, here you are, right? You're our new best friend and family member. But when we start our conversations from that place of picking you up and going, no, you're fine. You are enough. You are such a gift to this world. I love you. And I know you guys to be this. I know your generosity. I know your beauty. I get to see it. And you know what? I have a little bit of, sometimes I get to see your generosity behind the scenes, the stuff that nobody else sees that you do. The way that you jump in when somebody in our community is having a hard time, or the way you swoop in when they lose someone they love, or the way you so quietly step in and support them financially or with a gift or just the kind word that they need in that moment. I see you. I know that you do this. And so today, that's why I'm here going, I see it. I see it every damn day. And if you're having a moment in your life right now where you're like, I can't give anymore, I want to be one of the main voices telling you, I don't need you to give anything else right now. I need you to receive. I need you to receive just feeling so good about who you are and what you're doing and how much beauty you bring to my life and the ones around you. That's right. That's right. There are all kinds of little secret people in my world who go around doing beautiful things all day long, kind words, you know, beautiful, touching ways you show up for each other. So I love you and I thank you for all of that. So let's start there. So today is Lammas, and if you're new to kind of an earth-based tradition celebrating what we call the Wheel of the Year, which are all the high and low holidays, what in pagan circles, we're not a pagan community per se, but we have a lot of pagans in the community, but we are so much bigger than that. But what pagans call Esbats and Sabbats, the high and low holidays, today's a high holiday, you know, and it really is a holiday that represents the beginning of a new cycle for you. We just celebrated the end of a cycle at Sage Goddess, but this is a cycle that everybody enters today. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you are about to turn the wheel toward fall. You're in the throes of summer, but your harvest has begun. And so your soul is wanting to go around your life right now. Do you feel this? Your soul is wanting to go around your life right now and start gathering. I feel it. It's like I'm wanting to gather energy. I'm wanting to gather my own resources. I'm wanting to gather peace. I'm wanting to gather safety, I'm wanting to gather softness, I'm wanting to gather people I love, and I'm wanting to gather, just gather. It's a gathering energy, and that is the harvest energy. And so one of the main things, one of your questions for tonight was, how do we use this energy to help each other prosper and to help all of us prosper? I think the main thing that you should do today is say thank you for all that you have. None of our crops, not all of them survive, but a lot of them do, and they are nourishing you in this very moment, whether they're literal crops or metaphorical crops. And so what are you gathering? Like, really think about that today. What are you calling in? What are you pulling in? Are you calling in knowledge? Are you calling in community and support, people around you to be able to support you? I don't know what you're calling in, but I would invite you, and let's just even take a moment right now. I agree with you, Cindy Black. You can't have too much peace, right? And Rebecca's calling in peace and prosperity. It's so beautiful. So right now I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine your arms full of your first harvest. What is that? What is that energy that you are calling in and holding in your arms today? And if it's prosperity, call it in. Where are you calling it in from? The four directions, from north and south, above and below? Is the wind bringing you prosperity? Are the fires bringing you prosperity? Are you pulling your prosperity up from the earth? Are the flames that are burning throughout our state and throughout our world, are they clearing what we know way or passage for what's new in your life to come through? So how are you working with the elements to gather? That's awesome. So Angel is working with citrine right now for prosperity and protection. Those are really good crystals, and crystals can be a really nice way of gathering energy. You can even just gather your crystals together in a little cluster and just be pulling in those energy streams. But you don't even need crystals to do it. Every energy stream that we're talking about it's virtual, right? It's nothing that you can hold in your hands, but it's very powerful. Frequency is very powerful. And so all of these energy streams, like prosperity and happiness and health and wellness, these are all really high vibration energy streams, and you can go swim in those for a little while. And it's a really powerful thing when you allow yourself to think about what's possible for you. But, if you believe that you are enough, if you believe that the universe smiles upon you and really does want to spoil you and shower you with the things that make you happy, then all you have to do is start to gather and call in to yourself. And then think about, and you know this from working with me, but anytime I receive, my first thought is, and then how do I give that back? How do I push that energy back out? I am a channel, and so as soon as I receive, I'm opening a pocket to push out. I receive, and then I push out. I receive, and I push out. And so if you really want to experience prosperity on a new level in your life, it can't just be the receiving. It has to be the pushing back out. Something comes to you, but it's really coming through you, and it's meant to go sometimes to someone else. And so if you stop holding on to energy so tightly, you'll find that you get into that flow. Because one of the number one questions people ask me is, how do I get into flow? They see that I'm in flow. I live in flow. I'm really lucky. I mean, I have shitty days, and I get stressed out. I was stressed out earlier today. So there are times, right? I mean, we're all human, and we have to drive cars and do human muggle things that aren't super fun and that make us mad. But I stay in flow by being in that cycle of energy, and I can feel when it's moving, and I can feel when it's stuck. You know what I mean? As soon as I start to feel myself holding on to anything, I know I'm out of it. As soon as I get something and my first thought isn't, now how do I push that back out, I know I'm not in the flow. There's other signs too. So as something comes to you, it might be hard, but think about, what part of this now can I push down? Knowing that as soon as you do that, you open the door for more to come through you, and then you become the channel. So Billy Aitchison, why does life suck? I mean, I like to ask big questions in these free-flowing sessions, because I really do believe that we are all here to help each other. I think I'm here to help you. I think sometimes you're here to help me. You do. You guys are good teachers and good mirrors. And a lot of the people in our community, by the way, are extremely experienced. And so I often think of myself as working with you. I don't necessarily see myself as up on any kind of pedestal. I'm doing this work with you. We're all doing it together. And so, when you get to a place where you feel kind of hopeless, and there's a lot of people who are feeling that right now, right? Because there's so much mass confusion, and there's a lot of fear and anxiety in the field. I think the number one thing to do is bring your practice back to basics. Truly. truly, truly. One of the things for me that really, really helps, and thank you for that, Rika Vari said she's sending all Reiki to us, or sending all of us Reiki, I should say. Yes, and Naomi lost her best friend last week. It's so true. I'm not afraid of the big questions, and I'm not afraid to sit with things that are really hard. And I guess it's because what I've seen is, if you're willing to do that, then transformation is really possible. If you want to stay surface level and you don't want to get too complicated, and look, there's a lot of people in the metaphysical space who want to just talk about love and light and rainbows and high vibration, right? But they don't want to talk about the shadow side. The fact that you go through a dark night of the soul, that sometimes you feel hopeless, that sometimes you feel like you don't know if you can go on, right? That a lot of that stuff in the sort of like high level mainstream metaphysical world, people don't speak to it. And so I will tell you, I take it upon myself to do that, because I really think that you can't talk about all the rainbows and unicorns and light fairies without also talking about the fact that there are shitty pickles. Sometimes life is really hard. Sometimes life is really hard. And so we have to learn how to be present with each other in both. We have to be able to learn how to hold both. And so I want you to know you can always come here, right, and say, yeah, life sucks right now, or I don't know if I can keep going on, or I mean, whatever it is, because all of us are going to support you, and we're not going to judge you for that, and we're not going to say, oh, you should, focus on the positive, because sometimes that's really hard. I'm sorry, but sometimes it's really, really hard to just focus on the positive. And that's when I tell you, then don't focus on the positive. Go in and figure out what your shadow stuff is. Go in and figure out what you're afraid of, and face it head on. Look at it right in the eyes. That's shamanism. That is real spiritual, transformational, metaphysical work. It isn't just about transmutation. Sometimes it's about getting into that snake pit and looking in the eyes. But here's the thing. Ready, Star Stitches? Here's the thing. You ready? You can't live there. Shadow work is so important, and it's really important to look at your dark places, because we all have them, right? I've got them, you've got them. I don't know what your shadow emotions are, but I get resentful, and I get frustrated, and I get sad. I have a lot of my own shadow emotions. You just can't live there. But you do have to go in. Well, so Cammie's asking, then what? I will tell you guys, you may not know this, I'm teaching a whole class on this right now from June until December, and it's still open for registration. If you really want to do this work with me, I'll just tell you, you are more than invited. And there's a Facebook group and a community, it's called Of Light and Shadow, and we're doing this work. I'm giving you kind of like I'm scratching the surface with you. But it is work. And so in that class, we do it through crafting. We do it through astrology, by looking at certain parts of your natal chart to understand what your proclivities are toward light and shadow. Did you know that your astrological chart actually predicts some of what your shadow emotions will be? We're about to talk in that class about birth time and shadow. Holy shit. Did you know that the time you were born actually determines the proportion of yin and yang energies that you possess, how masculine and feminine you are, how much sun and moon governs who you are and how you operate in the world? It does, okay? And so all of these things, I'm giving you kind of the Cliff's Notes, and you're always welcome to join us, but I do want to say this is work. And so what you have to do, the long and short of it is, you have to isolate where in your body and in your spirit the traumas of your past have anchored in your body. And then once you do that, once you go in and you start to excavate, you can move into that trauma and heal it. I call it taking the stinger out. You take the stinger out. There's lots of different ways to do that. Some of the most powerful ways to do that are sacramental, right? You hear people going through ayahuasca journey and other experiences like that, which I think are fantastic, because something like that takes the stinger out overnight. But the work I do takes the stinger out over 6 months, and so it takes a little bit longer. It is not easy, it is not fast, but it is worth it. And here's what you need to know about shadow work. Are you ready? Everybody has to do it. It's a matter of whether you come willingly or you go kicking and screaming. So I always tell people, come willingly. You don't have to do the work with me, but you have to do it. But come willingly into that work. And so decide, you know what, I am going to look at those tricky things. But if I will tell you this, if 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I started doing my own shadow work and looking into it, and by the way, it's a work in progress, truly, right? Far Country, you get it, right? She says, I'm looking forward to that one. I was given my time by a psychic. This will help to support that info. That's absolutely right. It's just a fascinating process. How much information you already have at your fingertips to be able to understand who you are, and you don't even know it. It's like you need a translator to come in and put the, connect the dots. Really interesting, right? Well, Allison Sanders, she says, what if the stinger is a bit of a butt to remove? Girl, my stingers sometimes are like that big around, poking right out. But the harder stingers to remove, and you know this to be true, the harder stingers to remove are the little tiny ones, like splinters. They're in there and they hurt so bad, but you can't find it. Those are the stingers I'm worried about. I don't care about the big one hanging out of your butt, because I can pull that one out real fast. I'm worried about the stingers in you that need tweezers and fine surgery, right? Because it's been in you so long and it hurts so bad, but even you don't know where it is. Those are the stingers I'm talking about. And I'll tell you, because it leads me to another one of your questions about spirit guides. Your spirit guides know where your stingers are. So I'm going to give you a little cautionary tale. Please continue to ask questions, by the way. I'm reading all your comments, but I welcome you to ask any questions. Haha, JVM. I will tell you something. I love you for that comment. That's super funny to me. The last thing I need is a Scorpio. I think I had a Scorpio relationship once, and the passion was so intense that we almost killed each other by accident. So I find that Scorpios for me kind of, because I can go there with a Scorpio and it's really scary. Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you. Your spirit guides know where your really tiny stingers are, and if you give them permission, they will help you. But here's where you have to really know what you're doing and be careful with this work, okay? When you tell your spirit guides, that's right, Rikavari, right? When you tell your spirit guides, please, remove my stingers, pick off my scabs, I'm ready to do this work, they take you at your word, and it can turn your world upside down. Thank you for that. Please be careful what you wish for. I always say, spirit guides, I want to advance my learning. I want to develop on my path. Please be gentle with me. Please go at a pace that I'm ready to move at. Please reveal things to me gently and in a way I can understand, okay? Because I have learned that the spirit guides will just whoom on you. And all of a sudden, all your shit's upside down in your life, and people are upside down, and everything's upside down, and it's like, yeah, but you asked for that. Except you didn't. And so just be very, very gentle. I always ask for guardrails. Give me guardrails. Keep me safe. Give me guardrails, but advance me on my path. And so I've noticed that. That's a great question, Tracy. She asks, are spirit guides always good, and how can I know? I think they are, okay? My perspective, and as you work with me over time, this will become more familiar to you. I believe both in good and in evil. I have confronted both in my life in a physical way, and so when I say that to you, it isn't kind of a hypothetical thing for me. I have confronted both spectrums of the spirit world. I'm a medium, so is every woman in my family, all the way back. And so I've seen some really crazy containers opened, and I've seen some really intense things come through those containers. And so my advice always is, don't play with evil. And when you call upon your spirit guides, always ask, especially the first time, always ask that the spirit guides who are there to support your highest good are the ones that come forward for you. You don't have evil spirit guides, in my opinion, okay? But there are spirits who will pretend. That's why Ouija boards and things like that, not going to do that. I did it once when I was was trying to remember how old I was the other day because someone was asking me. I think I was 8 or 9 years old. My mom is a medium. So we got a Ouija board and started playing with it. And we both took our hands off of it and the thing went all by itself for a good 15, 20 minutes. So if you think that doesn't happen, it sure does, especially when you have two powerfully psychic people. Even at a young age, I was a powerful psychic. That thing started going by itself. We threw it away. It came out of the trash. Okay. So what I would say is just be careful. There are certain divination tools that call in or invite in unstable energies, and the Ouija board is one. Tarot, in my experience, does not. And so people say, well, I don't do any kind of divination. And I'm always like, I don't cut it all off. I do think tarot, I've never had an unsafe experience with tarot. I've never had an unsafe experience with a pendulum, but I sure have had some crazy ass experiences with some other divination forms. That's why I will always tell you the truth. I think you can discern for yourself and use your intuition. And I actually have had clients come to me and say, Athena, I love Ouija boards. I know how you feel, but I love it. And what I always say is, great, you found a way to make it work. Fantastic. I haven't, so maybe you can teach me, or you can, but I have yet to be convinced to the contrary. So there's a good question. I love this one. I mean, they're all good questions, but here's one I want to speak out loud. So Danielle says, why do you think the so-called light worker community is so opposed to the shadow? And what's your number one tip to stay grounded in light as you embrace, heal, and assimilate your shadow side? Honestly, Danielle, that's one of the most beautiful questions. The phrasing of your question was really beautiful. And I think it's a powerful question, too. I think the light worker community doesn't want to scare people off. I think the light worker community knows that as soon as you start talking about weird shit and scary shit, that some people are going to click all done and just go away, rather than seeing that as something of a cautionary tale, right? Like, a lot of us don't have a choice. I will say this. I don't have a choice. This is the work I'm doing in this lifetime. I have tried not to on multiple occasions. Okay, my spiritual awakening came when I was a teenager. 14, 15, and I'm turning 45 on August 9th. So we're talking 30 years of life. And I kept trying to avoid it because I would have an experience, get scared, and stop. Have an experience, get scared, and stop. I would see my mom shapeshift, get scared, and stop, okay? Until I realized I'm actually here to teach people how to do this safely. And if I didn't have those experiences, then I wouldn't have them to share with you, and I wouldn't be able to teach you about good protocol and energetic containers and raising energy and how to work with spirit guides and open and closing circles and all the things that I try to share with you. And so Allison, right? 13, she's now 31. Isn't that an interesting reversal, right, Allison? Like your age, you started at 13, you're now 31. Like, that's an interesting cycle for you. I kind of like that too. Nicoletta, right? She was 5 when she had her awakening. Girl, you started young, and now she's 43, so that's a lifetime. I mean, for Nicoletta, that is an absolute lifetime. And I thank you for that, Larissa. I do feel sometimes, I really do feel like I do protect you guys. When you're doing ritual with me, I've opened such a tight container, nothing's getting in. But that's practice and time and dedication, and that's what I want to teach you, because I don't have skills that you don't have. I have the same skills you have. But I might be a little bit more diligent in my practice sometimes. And so I try to remind you, like, don't forget to do these things. It's really, really important. Why do you close circles? Jay Carlson, thank you for that question. Another really powerful question. So when you open a circle for ritual or ceremony or whatever you're doing, right? People get married and, a lot of times they'll put down stones in a circle. Why do we open a circle in the first place? It's to contain energy. When you do a ritual, you want to contain energy because you're trying to raise energy, and that energy flows in your body. And when you do it in a sealed container, your body is able to hold that energy. That's where you get physical healing from. That's where you get, some of us in ritual feel almost like we're having an orgasm, right? Like it's a full body high. If you open that container and you raise energy, I have been sick and gone into ritual space, opened a container, and come out well. I've actually been not super well sometimes when I've been live with you guys, and by the end of the hour, I've been like, I'm 100% better. You're in a tight container where the energy goes into your body systems and can heal you from within. But you can't keep that energy, right? You have to release that energy, because not only energy is coming into that circle, guardians of the 4 directions are stepping into that circle. Spirit guides of you and other people are stepping into that circle. Spirit beings are attracted anytime you open a circle. Only good energy can come into a circle, because the whole purpose of a circle is to keep negative energy out. And so when you open that circle, you're releasing all of those spirits and elementals and guardians and spirit guides who've come to attend to you. It would be almost like, here's the best analogy. You ready? It'd be like inviting a bunch of people to your house, like 30 people to your house, and then never telling them it's okay to leave or the party's over. It would be like, hey, so I like your company, but I'd really like to leave. So could I just go maybe? You have to kind of say, we are done. So that is why we do that in protocol. Isn't it true? Tamu says, yes, that happens when I do body work. I might feel sluggish and unwell. By the time I finish with my client, we both feel amazing. And honestly, I love that for you. Thank you for that, by the way. Is it E Mazzy or E Mazy? Sleeps like a baby after my rituals. I love that so much. You have spirits all around you. All the time. That's right. So Lori Beth, I don't know if Lori Beth, if you know my story, is one of my favorite stories to tell because I get called on my shit too. And I make mistakes. So I did a Beltane ritual, what was it now, 4 years ago? You guys would know, 5 years ago? Opened the circle, called the Guardians of the Four Directions, closed the circle, did not release the Guardians of the Four Directions. They got me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard that voice as loud as someone standing next to my bed going, excuse me? And I had to leave my bed. Do you remember this? I had to leave my bed, go out to the ceremonial space, physically release the directions, and then go back to sleep. And they were not going to let me off of that because I was holding space for so many people in that Beltane ritual that it's not fair. It's like, you called us all here. Are you going to do your job? And, so they got me out of bed to do that. Have respect for the spirit realm because it's as real as us, okay? And I think a lot of people ask me, how do you get into flow, or how are you able to be successful, or because they've had a really weird path. The answer is I'm respectful of the spirit world. I call upon them when I need them, and I really honor the power of energy and what energy can create. Using your words and using numbers, I'm about to launch my angel numbers class. If you haven't taken a class with me before, that may be a good one to think about. Where I'm going to teach you about numbers as sacred symbols, as an entire language. It's an encoding from the universe. And so the angel numbers and your numerological profile, your life path number, the megahertz of all of the musical notes all have, it's a language. They're communicating with you. The songs that you listen to, you could translate those into words using their notes. And I assure you, your spirit guides are communicating with you through music. And so your spirit guides are always good and they're always present, but evil does exist. And so the number one thing in response to all of these questions is you really need to make sure that when you do any kind of energetic work that you are doing so in a really tight container. And that's as simple as selenite's a good tool to open a circle. You open it to the right and you close it to the left. Even if that's all you do, you guys, truly, even if that's all you do, but it has to happen every time. And like I said, I watch a lot of people's rituals on YouTube because I'm just curious. I like to just see what other people are doing. Do you know how little I see people physically opening? And I just think, where's that energy going? How is it being contained? How is everybody watching you safe? Because somebody watching you 2 years from now is still entering into that container. And if it was unsafe before, it's unsafe now. Interesting, right? Let's see. Gypsy says, am I the only one not eating a lot? Just little or light, but you don't know how. You still have energy, even busy? Yes. Okay, so food, a lot of people's food cycles are disrupted right now. I'm hearing from a lot of people that they aren't eating as much as they usually do. And that's because they're learning to receive energy from other sources. Think about the concept of mana, right? You don't have to just receive your energy from food. You do have to eat to survive and drink water to survive, but it is possible to be nourished from other sources. Now, Amma says she's eating like crazy right now. There's always a yin and a yang, right? I've taught you the Hermetic principles, which tell you there's always a spectrum. So for those of you who aren't eating much, on the other side of the spectrum, because both have to exist, the universe is created out of balance, right? Light and dark. So on the other end of the spectrum are people who can't stop eating right now. And one of the things I would tell you is really be sure that you're not digesting for other people, okay? One of the ways empaths help clients is by digesting their problems. And I did this for a long time without even realizing it. I really did. I mean, and it's just as easy for me to gain weight as it is for anybody else. And before I became conscious of the fact that I was literally consuming other people's problems, because I would have a call with a client and then eat to try and ground myself. When I was doing full-time reading for people, I would have a client call and then I would eat, and I would have a client call and I would eat, because I didn't even put it together. Now I know, okay? Seriously, you guys have to stop eating other people's problems. I love you so much, but you're not helping them and you're not helping you. I used to ask myself, am I even hungry? No. So what I learned, are you ready for the tip? Try this, because it has worked for me. It might sound really stupid, but it has really worked for me. When I have just taken on something, I've watched too much news, for example, or I've had a client or some crazy shit. And Nicoletta, that is absolutely beautiful. I go outside barefoot and stand on either dirt or grass for at least 10 minutes. You are an electrical being. If you don't ground that electricity, and there's only certain ways that you can ground yourself. Food is one of them. Orgasm is another. And putting your feet in some dirt is another. And so the easiest way, and sometimes the most fun way, is to go get some cookies, which is what I used to do. But, you do that too long, you have to figure out another way to do it. Yes, or a shower, or a bath. I love a good salt bath. Holy, I love a good salt bath. And for a while I was like, this is not going to replace my cookies. But it will replace your cookies if you let it. You know what I mean? You need to have an orgasm every day. I don't care if you do it alone or with somebody else. I mean, I'm sorry if no one else has told you that, but it aligns all your chakras and it opens your sacral chakra, which enhances your creativity. It rises Kundalini energy in your body, which brings optimism and faith and courage. So however you get it, you should just get it. So for your homework tonight, I would really love for you to have an orgasm in a salt bath. Maybe put your feet in some dirt. And then eat after. And see if the other techniques don't help you just a little bit. I'm actually not kidding at all, because these are things that are really, really important. Sending love. Whenever we have a siren, because we're next to a fire department, we send love and protection and ask that they get safely where they're going. And so it is. Yeah, you don't need a partner for an orgasm. If you've been doing it long enough, your best ones are probably with you anyway. Right? Orgasms are an energetic cure. When people tell me they haven't had one in 10 years, I'm always like, come back and talk to me after that, because I can't even begin to help you unless you can move energy in your body. So Linda, what a fantastic question. Thank you, Cecilia, for that, by the way. My whole life for the past week and a half has been helping people with the fires, so I want to thank you for that. Thank you. Self-love first, that's right. That's true. Danielle, thank you so much for that comment. Danielle said, remember, ladies and gents, you and your ideal partner, twin flames, are always connected in higher planes, so you can orgasm with them anytime. It is possible to have a full romantic affair in spirit. Your twin flame, the one who really knows you, isn't here. You know that, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know, am I? They're not here. You don't incarnate with your twin flame. You incarnate with a soulmate. And so your twin flame is up there watching over you. I talk to mine sometimes. I know he's there. And then you'll trade places. Oh yeah, then he'll reincarnate and I'll stay. I call it a him, but we're both pure spirits, so maybe he'll incarnate as a woman next time and I'll incarnate as a woman too. Or the way we think about sexuality as humans is not at all the way it actually is. So you've lived as a man and a woman probably multiple times, and so I think people who are really honest about their sexuality tend to find themselves somewhere on the spectrum of heterosexual and homosexual, because most likely you've had both experiences. So why wouldn't you be interested in both? It kind of doesn't really make sense. So how do you talk to your twin flame? It's a great question. Before you go to sleep, set the intention. Sometimes I just talk. I usually will start by asking, are you there? Are you there? And I can feel. And there are just moments sometimes as I'm falling asleep, and it's like, I just want to fall asleep with you tonight, energetically. I just want to know that you're there. Just show me that you're there. And when I do that right before sleep, this is twin flame, by the way. This isn't soulmate. Soulmate, like, I think my husband is my soulmate, right? In this lifetime, for sure. But he's not my twin flame. There is a connection, and you guys bounce back and forth so that one watches over the other. One watches over the other. So next time I'll watch over her or him. However it chooses to come back, I will watch over her or him. And then hopefully sometimes before she goes to sleep or before he goes to sleep, he'll say, are you there? Are you there? Can I fall asleep with you tonight? It's really sweet, isn't it? I might sound crazy as the day is long to you right now. Honestly, I realize that, but this is true to me. This is very true to me. So when people say, I'm so lonely, I have nobody, I'm always thinking, are you kidding me right now? The one that knows you best is right there. Just didn't come through this time, so that he or she can watch over you. That's your number one guardian angel. Don't tell me you're lonely. I mean, I'm sorry. We all get lonely sometimes, but you have love, right? Seriously, you have love beyond love. And sometimes I rest in that. And I think sometimes, this is the kind of like shit that goes through my head, I think sometimes about the moment I will encounter that spirit again. Will it be 45 years? Will it be 80 years? Will it be 100 years? Since we've, I don't think we gaze on each other in the spirit world. I think we just are. But it's like, I think sometimes about that moment, and I just think, and not just of that soul, but of my aunt and my grandmother and you know what I mean? Like all the ones who are waiting for you, the ones who never even knew you because they weren't here when you were born. Like I think about that. I think I close my eyes and I think, it's a grand reunion. It's a shitty conclusion, no matter how you slice it, because there's never a good time to leave this life. But it's a grand transition. Yeah, well, no, my husband doesn't fully believe everything I believe. So I don't know that he necessarily believes that, the twin flame piece. But I do. It's been my experience. There isn't much to compete with. It's kind of a spirit thing. It totally does. Oh, Karen Carly, when my grandmother passed, the first thing I thought, truly, because my grandmother lost her soulmate in this lifetime very young in a coal mine. He was a coal miner, and he didn't survive. And when my grandmother passed, I was so sad, but I was also celebrating with her because I was thinking, holy shit, when you see him, I can't wait for him to see you. I can't wait for your spirit to just run to him. Can you imagine? Like, oh my God, there you are. And like, I had that moment. I had that thought when my grandmother died. Beyond the selfishness of like, I need you and I want you here with me, I thought to myself, you run to him. He's been waiting for you. I had that thought. Thank you. So it's a great question. Is it Jadi? I think the standard wisdom on this, you guys, is that there's a twin flame and a soulmate. The twin flame does not incarnate with you. It is a pure spirit, your other half, okay? Your soulmate is part of the essence of who you are that does incarnate in a human body in the same lifetime as you do. And that's why I think you can have multiple soulmates. I know, because it's a sweet thought, and because you know why? You've probably lost somebody. that you're going to run to when that time comes. And so will you be sad about who you're leaving behind? Probably. But I promise you're also going to be going, holy shit, I'm here. I gotta go. I gotta find them. They're probably all waiting for you right when you're there. Run. Right? So good. So anyway, we talked about spirit guides. We talked about messages. I will say there's a question about galactic guides, unless anything that you guys want to ask based on all of that. Oh, totally. I mean, look, have you not had a dream where you woke up and you were very turned on? Like, what do you think that is? Come on now. Ah, it's so good. I love that too. I see you, Rainbow Dancer. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Oh, well, of course, star stitches, right? And so the number one pain you can experience, you ready for this? The worst pain you can experience in a human lifetime, I think. Truly. There's some really bad pain, right? Let's say one of the worst, because I don't know that that's the worst, but I think one of the worst is when you realize the timing isn't going to work for you and your soulmate. And so it's over. I think that is one of the hardest. I think, as I have told many students of mine over the years, I think the moment you realize it's not going to happen, and I was just about to say that, Naomi Shifra, so this is not worse than losing a child. But I think below losing a child, okay? Because I'm talking about disordered events. You shouldn't lose a child. You should be able to be with a soulmate. Disordered events really knock us off our center when it doesn't make sense. Why isn't the timing right? Why did I, lose my child? Why? Because it doesn't make sense. The disordered events. Someone loses a parent, that's not disordered. That's ordered. You are the child. You will lose your parent. You should lose them before they lose you. That is an ordered event. Does that make sense? So ordered events can absolutely still rock you, man. I mean, I have had clinical depression from ordered events. Because just it's supposed to happen doesn't mean it isn't devastating, right? But disordered events are where they're out of order. This shouldn't be happening. You meet your soulmate finally after 20 years and you can't be with him because he's married. You meet your soulmate finally after 40 years and you can't be with her because she's married. That's disordered, in my humble opinion, okay? It does, right? MK, it's like you were robbed. And you will get over it, but it's very, very hard. And so a lot of times when people find me, it's because they are disordered. Something has happened. A didn't go to B, didn't go to C. C went to D, went to F, went to G, went to Z. That's when people find me. Because I am somewhat adept at helping you make sense of some really crazy chaos, right? Like, okay, so this might be what's happening. Well, and that could be true, Walter, too, right? Like, they're not on the same sexuality page as you in this lifetime. Although I would say, give it time. I'm an optimistic lady sometimes when it comes to sexuality, right? Tara's feeling disordered. And so one of the things I want to tell you is don't hide your disorder. People get themselves into shadow trouble because they're trying to hide their disorder. I don't know about you, but like, I love you guys. It's really true. But people, the natural inclination when something is disordered is you think, what are people going to think of me? Or I don't want anybody to know about this, or whatever. And they push it down. I'm going to try and forget about it. I'm just going to smile anyway. Maybe I'll find another relationship. They push, right? One of the reasons, by the way, that some of you have my deep, deep respect, and some of you have already commented in the feed, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to call you out. I don't know how much you want to share about your life, but I know a lot about some of you. You have done that. In the midst of your worst pain, you have named it and claimed it and said, I'm hurting, and this is the anniversary of the death of the person I love, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through, and you have let us love you. You didn't push it down. And I applaud you for that, because when you push it down, it doesn't really go anywhere. It turns into cancer, it turns into MS, it turns into fibromyalgia so that you can't move and you're in pain all the time. If you think fibro isn't energy that is stuck, I mean, I'm sorry. And I will always tell you this, right? Like, all of the autoimmune diseases, that's shit you push down that's trying to come back up. And so if you open the box and say, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to share about it, I'm going to ask for help about it, I'm going to be open with people and vulnerable, and if they judge me, well, you know what, at least it's better than getting sick. I think that is the answer. But man, we don't feel safe with each other, right? Like, JVM, it's a good question. I don't know that I believe in our basic form that we are electricity, pure electricity, but we are electric beings. We are charged beings, and we have to ground our charge. And there's only a few ways to do it. Amen. Nancy Sue Meyer, fibro for 22 years, cleared for 4. So how do you do it? How do you stop it? Okay. So you can commit. I would love if you committed with me today. Honestly, today is a powerful day to make this commitment to looking at your own pain. Like, are you willing to look at it? And if you say yes, here's what's going to happen. Are you ready? And this is, you don't even need me. Okay? Felice, I hear you. She says, I need a reading, but you don't. You don't really need anything. You need to say to the universe, if you are really ready, I'm ready to look. I'm ready to look at my childhood. I'm ready to look at my marriage. I'm ready to look at my relationship with my kids. I'm ready to look at my relationship with my siblings. And when you do that, the universe is going to start bringing all these, it's like you give them permission, and they're going to start bringing all of these experiences to you to bring this stuff up to heal it. Your mom's going to ask you a question, right? Your sister's going to ask you a question. All of a sudden, your cousin's going to call you who hasn't called you. So you think you have to go do something. And this is, I'm going to leave you with this because it's 4 o'clock. I don't know how that hour already went by, but I really hope you had a good time with me. You don't need anything except the intention. The universe will bring you every opportunity, every conversation, because the universe wants you to heal and get well. You didn't come here to be upset and cry all the time and be sick. I mean, I'm sorry. You just did not. You really did not. You came here to love yourself, which means you could potentially love me too. You came here to have an experience in a body and to learn certain things so that you can go and evolve and contribute that wisdom to the broader collective. That's why you're here. If you're in physical pain, you're denying a reality. And I just would really like you to stop doing that. It's almost like, wow, I stopped hitting my head against a wall and I feel so much better now. It's like, yes, stop that. I mean, stop it. If you've been in a weird dynamic with your mom your whole life and every time she talks to you, you cry, then it's time to change that and to say, I'm not willing to engage that way anymore. I hear you. I love you so much that is not, I'm not willing to entangle myself in that energy stream anymore. My energy stream is going to be one of healing. And so this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. And right? Be open and allow the work to begin. And by setting the intention today, the rest will come. Galactic guides will happen next time. If you guys really want to talk about this, let me say this about galactic guides. I love you guys too, by the way. I really do. You know, I'm having such a good time being with you because we're all in this journey together. Karen Carly, do you mean me in particular, or do you mean like who's in control of you in general? Thank you for that, Pagan Tinker. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Debbie. If you guys want to talk about galactic guides next time, I just need to make sure that we're on the same page. Because what I know to be the galactic guides is actually an organization called the Galactic Federation. And that exists. It is a group of what I would call universal guides who are protecting our universe even at this time. And they have a policy of non-interference in human events. But they're what I call the watchers. And anytime I go into shamanic journey space, I am able to commune with them. And they've shown me some things that are pretty crazy. I don't talk about them very much because, again, I'm not a fear monger. I don't want to make people nervous. If you want to talk about galactic guides next time, I will go there with you. Just know that's a crazy ass conversation. But I'll go there. I mean, I'm down. So if you guys want to, next time we ask you, hey, what do you want to talk about this week? Just say, I do. I want her to go there. I want her to talk about the galactic guides. All right. Next time it is. Well, if you're available at 6 p.m. tonight, I'd love to see you again. We're doing our live Lammas ritual to celebrate First Harvest. We have a whole bunch of folks downstairs. We're going to be live online with you. And so I'm going to go take a hour break until I welcome all the guests in the room. Thank you for being here. And even if this is our only interaction today, I just want you to know I see you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for bringing your own wisdom and your own beauty to our circle. And I will look forward to seeing you very soon. Mwah! Take care, you guys. May the galactic guides be with us. I'll see you soon.